Hi guys, I'm Skip Kelly, and Tim from Houston, Texas has a question about his shoulder. And every time he externally rotates it in this position, it grinds, and he's wondering if, because it's grinding, he's getting arthritis or there's some type of medical issue that he is avoiding and it's going to make it worse over time. So he wants my input on should he see a doctor. And my answer is, of course you should always see a doctor and consult your medical professional if you have any questions about your personal health. Aside from that, I'm just a civilian, and I'm going to make some recommendations based on my practices and findings over the years. So, Tim, tell you what, I'm going to explain a little bit about your shoulder joint and how it works. And the first thing that I want to teach you, because I'm going to give you all these bad A gangster exercises you can do anywhere without equipment to start. And the first fundamental concept I want you to understand is that your shoulder sits on top of your rib cage. And if your ribs are locked up and they don't move, your shoulder has no chance. So I'm going to teach you how to get these muscles that support your scapula, your shoulder girdle, to strengthen so that they're adaptable and they can move through their range so that your shoulder has a fighting chance against problems like this. And I'd be really curious to know if anyone has a similar issue and they go through this routine I'm about to teach you guys, and it's educational and it's helpful. Go ahead and comment below and let me know how it worked for you and if it got any better, because it'd be super interesting for everybody else to find out if this helps or if it doesn't for you, and what other things we can try in the future and how I can talk about the millions of options you have for this. So the first question comes from Tim from Houston, Texas. And he has a shoulder issue where every time he brings his shoulder up and does this motion, it grinds, and he asks if he doesn't get it surgically repaired or looked at by a doctor, could it be causing further issues? And the answer is absolutely yes. That could be happening. You should definitely get this looked at by a doctor. Now I'm going to provide you some exercises in phase 1 to start repairing the muscles in that area that may or may not help the situation at all. But if it does, I want you to let me know. And I have seen things like this in the past that have been at least improved by muscular work. I've got a couple key tenets that most people find are very weird. And the first one is, I don't like stretching. It's not that stretching is bad, it's that the way that we look at stretching seems to not help a lot of people. And it's because stretching is fatiguing your muscles at their end range, which is where they don't communicate very well until they loosen. And I believe that the body is perfect and that the nervous system understands a lot more about you surviving and feeling well than I do, or that any doctor does at this point in time. And what I understand is that if it's perfect, it's making decisions for a reason. I choose to believe that my nervous system doesn't play tricks on me. I don't just wake up one day with a shoulder ache and my body's just like, I want to see what he does about it. I believe that there's a purpose and there is a reason behind that. And it could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be chemical, and we need to take a look at all of those things. So what I'm going to help you with today is looking at the physical aspect of our discomforts and seeing if we can alleviate those. And of course, always consult a medical professional before you try to do any of these things, because you want to see if your injury is more severe. First thing we need to know is that your shoulder girdle sits on top of your rib cage, which sits on top of your hip. If your hip is unstable and it causes these muscles to tighten up and not move as much, these muscles will tighten up your rib cage, which is where your shoulder blade sits. Now, I have a specific opinion that space can't be zero gravity or humans wouldn't survive, because your shoulder girdle would fall apart. And all that means is you don't have any passive tendons, ligaments, things that are holding this in place that would be strong enough to prevent it from falling. This is why when you're put under anesthesia in the hospital, you have to be strapped down to the table, because if your arm were to fall off, there's a chance that your shoulder would just dislocate instantly because you don't have muscles that are contracting to keep it in place. So muscle control of your shoulder joints is really important. That's also why they call it one of the most unstable joints in the body. So I want to give you some exercises from level 1 and level 2 to build up to repair your shoulder, and then eventually level 3, which would be exercise. So level 1 is going to be something where we have to utilize small ranges of motion. So with your shoulder, because when you go up into this position it grinds, obviously you need to get this looked at by a medical professional. Always great to get their opinion above someone like mine, because I'm just a civilian who's giving you what I've found has worked for other people in the past, and I would love to know if this helps you, and I'm making this video really to help you and anyone who shares something similar. And shoulder issues are super common, so if you guys try these exercises and they help you, let me know, and let's keep refining it and making it better and better so that we can help lots and lots of other people, especially in other countries. So, you've got this issue where your shoulder is grinding. The first thing I want to teach you is that we've got to start small. So with our shoulder, we've got a few basic motions I want you to work through and see if you can feel the muscles that should be controlling the foundational movements of your shoulder, because this is really complex. So I'm going to start down here, and I want you to bend your elbow so we're taking some of the weight and we're lifting it so that your whole shoulder is not pulling you down like that anesthesia scenario. So here, and the first thing I want you to do is just lift your shoulder about 10 degrees away from your side. There should be no grinding here. If there's grinding here, we need to start smaller, let me know. For this purpose, we're going to start here, and I want you to just tune in to these muscles. Can you feel these muscles working? And if you can you isolate the feeling of those muscles working? You're never going to be able to get just those guys to work, but I want to see if you can feel the front side of your deltoid here, the middle side of your deltoid here, and the rear side of your deltoid all working. And then once you feel them, I want you to try to flex them, just like you'd flex your bicep. I want you to try to flex these muscles here, and we're just going to hold it. We're just going to give them some love. So the longer you hold this motion and this muscle communication, this contraction that's going on, the more focused you can get on it, the better these muscles may perform in the long run. So we're going to do that. That's our first exercise. Let's hold that for 30 seconds to a minute. And every day I want you to be doing this 2 or 3 reps, depending on your fatigue level. If you get really fatigued, we can stop. If you have shoulder problems that might fatigue you really quickly, and that's okay, we're going to build up to where you can do 3 in a row. And this is going to be like your morning meditation, something that you would do. So we're going to sit here, we're going to bring that guy out, we're just going to hold, feel these muscles for 30 seconds to a minute, and we're going to relax. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to let the arm come down, and you're going to go backwards here. So we're going to go something like this. You're going to take the arm back, and now we're focusing on the tricep muscles, so on the back side of my tricep here. We're focusing on the lat muscles here, and we're focusing on the upper shoulder muscles here. And then the crossover between my shoulder blade and my actual humerus or my shoulder. So I'm just going here, and I'm holding. And I don't want you to push to end range of motion right now. It's okay to not get max range. Remember, the goal here is sensitivity. Sensitivity is what allows us to reduce our discomfort. So we're here, we're coming back to say like 60% range when you're injured, and then progressively increasing that range. So maybe tomorrow going a little bit further, maybe the next day going a little bit further as you feel comfortable. No pain, no gain is not a thing in this. So we've got our first exercise here, 30 to 60 seconds holding, trying to feel these muscles. We've got our second exercise here, where we're coming back. We're focusing on the triceps, back of the shoulder blade, and the crossover here. We've got our third exercise, where again, we're going to bend our elbow. We're going to come forward as if we're doing a dumbbell chest press, but we're going to be standing. And you're just going to try to squeeze these shoulder blade muscles, and I'm reaching my shoulder forward. So I'm doing the opposite of what most people do for posture exercises. I'm actually rolling that shoulder forward, keeping this one as relaxed as I can. And I'm just squeezing my different chest muscles, making sure I can feel them. The goal is not to fatigue these muscles, it's to stimulate. So stimulate instead of challenge. So it's a mindset shift when we're trying to repair and heal our muscle areas. So we're here, in front of the shoulder, focusing on all these. It should feel nice and contracted, but loose. It shouldn't feel like it's getting really tight. If you fatigue, go ahead and bring it down and just relax it. Don't let it go to extreme fatigue. If you feel any pain, you should stop that and go to the other exercises. And then the last exercise I want you to focus on for this guy, you're going to get a pillow, or you're going to get a shoe, or you can use your hand. You're going to put it against your arm or your rib cage here, and you're going to push gently into your body. If that causes any issues with you, you might be raising your shoulder blades. Make sure to keep that down. Or you can also bend your elbow. So bending your elbow again will take some of the weight off, some of the pressure off. Might be a little bit easier to do this exercise. When you pull in and you pinch, you're going to feel a little bit of your chest muscles, a little bit of your lat muscles, a little bit of these inner bicep muscles here. And we're just pulling in nice and gentle. My hand is placed at my elbow. just going to pull in nice and gentle. I'm going to hold all those guys. Now the key point is that my shoulder is dropping and pushing down into my side, and then putting my hand there so I don't have to go to that full range and really collapse in, especially if your rib cage gets narrow down here. So we're holding that same concept 30 to 60 seconds, and we're going to repeat it all again. So we got our first exercise here, just coming out part of the way, and every day feel free to start elevating that more and more. Start small. If you can go higher, you shouldn't. Just start small, work with me through this so that we can build a great infrastructure foundation, and then eventually you'll have the capability to do all of these different areas of motion. And then our second exercise is here, holding 30 to 60 seconds. Third exercise is here, reaching forward, squeezing, squeezing. And our fourth exercise, I like elbow bent, here. 30 to 60 seconds. And we want to do it on both sides because there's always a tug of war happening. Say if this side of my chest is very strong and this one's weak, this one is going to be limiting this one because they're both pulling on my sternum here. And if this were to pull 10 times harder than this, my sternum would actually get damaged and maybe, twist me to one side up through here. My body is a lot smarter than that. It's going to try to the best of its ability to not let that happen. So this side is actually going to limit the strength of this side. So let's make sure that we work evenly through these, and that when we work out, if you have the ability to work out both sides, and hopefully these exercises will get you there. So this was phase 1 or level 1 of helping out your shoulder rotation issue. And then phase 2, I'll post for you in about a week.